Welcome, Ravens, and welcome to my new podcast. As you can see, you can actually see me for a change. So hello, in my normal YouTube filming room. So apologies for the Griffin's books. You know how it is over here. But I'd love to introduce you to my guest today. This is a very new person to me. We've literally only met 30 minutes ago. Thank you to her publicist, Ricky. Big shout out for setting this up for us. And I would love to introduce you to the wonderful Wendy Roach. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, how is everyone? Hello. I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you ever so much for coming on. So tell us about yourself and why you are here and what you're doing on my podcast, because you are not from the UK, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm actually from the United States, and I am Miss Plus Intercontinental 2021. So I've had an opportunity for the last year to do things worldwide, and it has been wonderful being able to interact with women around the world and talk about different cultures and different things that are challenging for us as plus size women that have equity, that are trying to make a difference or find our own style and our own elegance with clothing and the challenges we have with that. And so that is why I wanted to come on your podcast to talk about that. And I'm going to be coming to England later on this year. So I had an opportunity to chat with you about that as well. So there are so many different things
YouTube channel
to talk about. Yeah, well, maybe. Why not?
Maybe we could swap tips. There you go. There's a video worth doing. So we obviously have very, very different styles, as you said. You are so you're current or former queen at the moment. I know some about pageants, not all of it, but you hold a title for a year, don't you?
Well, actually, how it works is that once you're crowned a queen with a title, you always have that title, even though you may crown your successor. So I was crowned back in March of 2021, Miss Plus Intercontinental, with the Miss Plus World organization, which is the pageant system is very similar to Miss Universe. We have representatives from around the world that come in to compete for two different titles. One title is Miss Plus World, and that's your 20-year-olds to 35. And then the Intercontinental title, which is the longer title, they give it to the older ladies. that is from 36 on up. And that is the category that I had won. And I just crowned my successor last Saturday. So I will always be Miss Plus Intercontinental 2021. What happens is after you crown your successor, you're not allowed to wear the crown.
No, not in public.
Not in public. But you know me, I'll be wearing it around my house.
I love that idea. I need one. I need a black one, of course. So
we can get you one. We can get you one. Mine is it's huge and it's very pretty. Here, I'll show it to you very quickly.
Go on then.
And I just pressed it a point. So
that is pretty.
I mean, who wouldn't want to wear that? Come on, it's beautiful.
I don't want one quite that big. Just a nice little black one. That'd do me quite nicely. More tiara than crown. Anyway,
we can get you one.
Talking about, obviously I don't want to go too much into the pageant thing. I do want to get talking about plus size fashion with you because I'm really excited to get the US opinions on things. But when you're saying the plus pageant, what size is that? Because I know here now an American 0 is a UK 4, and there are very few shops that stock a 2, which would be your 00. But when we're talking plus size in the UK, although the average size for a UK woman is now an 18, so for you a 14, our actual plus 14 size ranges and plus size dedicated stores will start at 14, so for you a 10. So where does it start in the pageantry world in becoming you're too big for normals? How does it work over there? Oh, and she's free.
There are there's different categories, but for Miss Plus World, it is actually a size 12 is what it starts at. Some plus size pageants do.
And as per usual, just as we're recording, we get internet issues. Oh, there she is. She's back again.
Okay.
So it starts at a 12. So that's
size 12.
UK 8.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. Anything over a UK 8 is considered plus size.
In the United States, a plus size starts at like a 10 or a 12, but typically it's a 12. All of our clothing stores have for plus size start at size 12.
So that's
your Lane Bryant.
Almost worse than here, because at least we would be at a 16, 18, maybe 18, 20 point for the US to where we start. But you're saying a UK 8 is considered the top end of normal sizing. That's ridiculous.
Now, do you know one thing that's absolutely ridiculous is when you look at clothing in Asian countries, in the sizes that they classify as plus size. And I only know this because I've been talking to people in different Asian countries. Mm-hmm. Plus size over there is classified as a size 6. And so I can't imagine being able to find anything without having to shop online if I were to visit these countries.
I mean, it's hard.
You know, I'm going to go anyway.
It's really hard here.
Yeah, size 6.
One of the things that's kind of followed through all my podcasts, whether they've been about body positivity or fashion, or, you know, the kind of fashion houses that I do have an interest in. I've always followed fashion despite being a goth. It's always been that kind of, well, we have dedicated stores, but we're not actually going to model it on anybody who's slightly bigger. So one of the stores in the UK used to use Tess Holiday as their model.
Oh, yes, Tess, yeah.
And they've stopped using her. There are certain reasons why, which I'm not going to go into. But I know for a fact from somebody who is connected to the brand that she actually very rarely fitted in the clothing. She was pinned into a lot of the clothing, and they never photographed the back, or they never photographed the front because it wasn't correct. And the girl they actually use now, considering their range goes from a 14 to a 36. So for you guys, that would be a 10 to a 32. They actually use a size 12 UK 12 model. So she's even smaller than the first size clothing that they actually sell, which to me is not only false advertising, you're giving a impression to people that even if you're a size 14, this is how you're going to look, and you don't. It's just false, and it's so demoralizing to know that you can look at a picture and go, that's never going to look that way on me, even if I was in the smallest size they have. And it's ridiculous. So how is it over there? I mean, do you have dedicated plus size stores?
We do have some dedicated plus size stores. I don't know if you've heard of them before, but Torrid, they do a lot. Okay, so Torrid, they do Lane Bryant. Those are plus size clothing stores. And there's maybe one more that I know of off the top of my head. But I would say there's probably about 5 in general, because if you go to certain regions of the United States, there are certain brands that are only for certain regions. You can buy it online anywhere in the United States, but you can only go to their stores in certain states. So there's probably about 5 that I know that are like name brand stores. Other than that, you have to shop at a department store.
We have one brand that is dedicated plus size. And I found out recently that they've not only closed the store in my town, they've now, if I now want to take anything back, I actually did it in one of my YouTube channels where I did some bits from there. They actually now say that if I want to go to any of their stores, I have to go to Bristol, Weston-super-Mare or Yates, which is between 50 minutes drive or an hour and a half drive to go
Oh my
to their
goodness.
stores directly, and those are the closest ones to me. It's ridiculous. That means if I go into my local town, I will be
Mhm.
hard put to find anything over a UK 20, so a US 16.
While there is a lot more availability, it sounds like here in the United States, there were several more clothing stores that we had. Like my favorite plus size clothing store that I used to hit all the time. I used to go there at least twice a month. They actually closed. And I kind of surprised at that because, as you said earlier, the average American woman is a size 14. Why would a plus size clothing store close if there are so many women that need the clothing? And so now they actually just sell online, and I'll order online and it's just not the same because you have to, as you said, look at these models. Well, now they are starting to use models that are plus size, which is great, but they're still not the average height, which is about 5'5".
Okay.
Here, they're 5'8" to 5'11" and a
They're
size
still models.
14. So, what about the petite girls? I'm 5'5". I want to know what it's going to look like on me.
And then you've got the ones that don't have the hourglass figure. I certainly don't have an hourglass
Yep.
figure. And I find it really hard when looking at girls in dresses to go, well, you may be bigger at the bust and bigger in the hips, but you go in at the waist. I kind of don't. I go in under the bust and then it's just kind of there.
Yeah.
So I can look at clothing and go, well, that might look okay. And I think over the years, I think my age has helped. But if I was
Right.
the size I am now and 20, I'd be really struggling to actually know what to wear or what to put on my body. And that's kind of why I do these films and these podcasts, and I do my YouTube channel, is because I want to help those people who are maybe terrified of shopping. It's never been a good experience for me. I hate changing rooms. They're always too small, too hot, and it's just never a comfortable experience. And I don't know, I just don't think there's enough help out there for people who are just normal sized. It's ridiculous. Not everyone should have to be tiny just to be able to be fashionable.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it difficult too for plus size women, is that sometimes we go in there, we don't like shopping because we know, okay, how many things am I going to have to try on this time in order for me to feel good in it or to look good in it? And it's very difficult then to find our own style. And one of the things that is great about who we are as a person is how we define our personal style. And if you're not able to do that, it's very stifling. And I know we're making strides in all locations by maybe having more options available or using plus size models now where they weren't using them in the past. I was just in New York for Fashion Week. It was my first time to walk in a show in Fashion Week in February, and I was pleasantly surprised that I wasn't the only woman that was over a size 14 in the show, because typically before, I think maybe the past 5 to 10 years, they haven't used plus size models at all. And with some of the main designers, they still use your typical skinny models. But Christian Siriano, love Christian Siriano. And the reason I love him so much is, well, he's got great style in the clothing that he designs, but he does it for women of all sizes. And he just started incorporating plus size models into his shows in New York because he's like, I want all women to know that they can wear my clothes and we're going to design something for them. So it's people like that in the industry that are pushing to make the change of body acceptance, body positivity. You can be fashionable at any size, any age. We'll help you to find your style. So
and
it's taken long.
Just with the designers, it seems to be, and it may not be the case, but it appears to be the case. It's actually the male designers that are actually branching out and going, do you know what, let's cater for everyone. And I don't know what the ratio of male to female designers is. It's not something I've ever, gone and checked the stats on. I do find it a shame that there's not more women out there going, do you know what, this is what we want to wear, this is what we want to wear. And you look at the designers and they're not all skinny, tiny little things themselves. And I grew up watching things like Project Runway, and all those sorts of things. And you look at the designers, you think, well, you're not 5'10", and you're not a size 2, and you're, you're a plus size man, but you're designing for this ideal mannequin, basically, that most of the time doesn't actually exist. And it's I don't know why the women out there aren't pushing the movement of, these are our bodies, this is what we should be designing for. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, I do agree with you in that essence, is that there is some stereotypical epitome of what the perfect size should be, and how clothing should look on a model, and how clothing should look on on different people. And I think it's something that we need to break the barrier on. With so much diversity that we have in society today, we can't expect everybody to fit into one size fits all, whether it's their style or their clothing.
And you look at things like, certainly, that I was chatting about it to a friend the other day, you look at the movement, the pride movement, so the LGBTQ plus society.
Sure.
Society? No, community. Sorry, wrong word.
Community.
It's very open. You can be what you want. You can identify as what you want. You can wear what you want and be who you want, and kind of come out and create yourself. But you're not allowed to be fat and wear clothes. It's just like, why is it?
It's interesting.
Still so much discrimination to be plus size than it is to be gay or lesbian or pansexual or non-binary. It just doesn't feel right. It's almost like there is this massive, we've had all the, and I'm not going to get into racism or anything like that, but we've had all the push of the Black Lives Matter. We've had the push on gender and sexuality. Why is there not a push on plus size? And it always, I think, comes back to plus size is considered unhealthy. You come into the UK, right, and someone would look at me and they'll go, you're a drain on the National Health Service. You have pre-diabetes. You are this, you are that. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I don't go to the gym as often as I should, but I'm not unhealthy. I can't remember the last time I went to the doctor for anything. I've not been a drain on the NHS because I don't have loads of pills and potions. I'm not diabetic. I don't have high blood pressure. So where is your stats coming from? And so there is this big perception in the UK that if you're fat or you're plus size, that you sit on the counter, or sorry, you sit on the couch and you stuff yourself with Kentucky Fried Chicken and you watch Netflix. Yeah. I wish I had time to watch Netflix.
I know, right?
So US.
That is actually a stereotype around the world. Having the opportunity over the past year to talk to different people in different countries, including the United States, it's the same everywhere. It is the same everywhere. So
one's respect, I suppose.
No, and so we're all in the same boat. And it's the only thing that's different is geography, to be honest with you, because as we look at different societies, around the world, and in specific, I'll just talk about the United States right now, is that it's that whole perception that you don't work out, you eat and you sit in that couch, and that's why you're overweight and you're a plus size woman. That is not the case. I work out on the elliptical every single morning. Okay. I watch what I eat every day, even though I like carbohydrates.
How dare
that is my thing.
How dare you?
I know. I like some pasta. If I want to have pasta, I want to have real pasta. I don't want to have like some zucchini noodle that's made to look like a pasta. But that's just me. I enjoy those things. I know people that have legitimate medical conditions. And that is why they can't lose weight. But what they've done is they've placed, okay, anybody that's overweight is automatically in this category. They eat too much, they don't exercise, and that's why they're overweight. Well, no, they may have a legitimate medical reason as to why.
Yeah.
Or maybe there is a mental issue. We have a lot of people that have, that process stress and trauma differently in life.
And a lot of it is genetics.
That's what one of those things are.
A lot of it is, I swear, is down to genetics. If you look at my bloodline in my family,
genetics,
my grandmother, her mother, my sister, we all carry the weight in the arms. We all have chubby cheeks. My mum actually went to a doctor. I could have punched him. I think I've mentioned this before in one of my podcasts. I could have punched him. If it had been me and he'd spoken to me the way he spoke to her, he wouldn't have been living. He certainly wouldn't have had a medical license left. But my mum was probably the size I am now, maybe a little bit bigger. And she went to the doctor and she was like, look, it doesn't matter what I do. I hardly eat. And he went, nobody fat came out of Auschwitz. And she said, I probably eat less than they did. My mum will eat, her average day will be a small bowl of porridge or a slice of toast. Her lunch would probably be a salad that consists of a slice of ham, a couple of lettuce leaves, a bit of cucumber and half an egg. And dinner, if you put a pork chop in front of her, a small one, and a couple of potatoes and a bit of broccoli, it would be too much for her.
It would be too much, yeah.
She's fit. She's got a treadmill. She's got a step machine. She's got a bike. She's got a rowing machine. She is so fit, but she's still the same size and she can't lose the weight.
Yep. And it's purely genetics. I mean, you're right. You do say there's some genetics, because my family, it's the same thing. Everybody on my mom's side of the family is overweight. My dad was beanpole. I didn't get that from that side of the family. And that's okay, because I've learned over the years that I need to discover my happiness and not let somebody else dictate it for me. And I'm the one that needs to be happy with who I am as a person. And while that lesson took me a very long time to learn, I am very proud to say that I love my body. I love who I am today. And if I want to change it, I'm going to be the one to change it on my own. I'm not going to have somebody else defining me as to who I am and who I should be, because I'm happy. And if other people are miserable, that's their problem.
And that's how it should be. And I get it's one of the exceptions in wearing black all the time. I mean, yes, I wear lace, I wear velvet, but I wear a lot of plain black. And I've had people tell me I must be depressed. Must be depressed because I wear black all day. And I'm like, no, I'd be depressed if you asked me to wear pink, because it's not me. Me is plain black. I literally had somebody, I did a challenge before my 40th birthday to wear colour, no black whatsoever, one day a month for
it must have been rough
months before my birthday. And I felt so self-conscious. I didn't know what colours to put together. I didn't know what looked right on my body. I just felt awkward and just completely like everyone was staring at me. And one of my friends actually said to me, can you please go back to wearing black, because I don't recognize you. It's not you. You're not comfortable in who you are. So you have this kind of persona, but it's who I am. I wouldn't feel comfortable in pattern. This is as much pattern as you get. It's a bit of lace. But I dress or top is beautiful, but I couldn't wear it. I would feel like I stood out like a sore thumb, and I probably wouldn't. But that's how it would make me feel. So I'm glad you've managed to find happiness. It's taken me a long time. It's probably taken me about 3 or 4 years ago. I really just said, you know what, this is me. This is me. And if people don't like it, I'm too old to change. I'm at that point that I don't care anymore. It's who I want to be and how I want to be perceived by the world.
Yeah, and I think it happened for me about the same time. I was just turning 40. I had just lost my father. And I had realized that life is about creating memories and about not working so much and being that hamster in a wheel and finding happiness, not only with myself, but with my life. And it was a very large lesson to learn, because it was at the cost of, the loss of my father, because my father was 61. I never expected him to pass away so young. And after it was about a year after that I was like, okay, it's time to make some changes and create more wonderful memories in my life. Because when you die, all this stuff that you've collected doesn't matter.
No.
It's those moments and those memories that you have to look back on and reflect on. And like I said, it was just a really big epiphany for me. So I was about 41 whenever I really started to accept myself and embrace myself and who I was, and start developing more confidence. And I originally had done pageantry because I wanted to make new friends. And I started back in 2016. And I did make new friends because that's what I wanted. But another goal of it was to develop more confidence in myself as a person, and to challenge myself to get out there, to be pretty, to be accepted, to be a part of something that I'd always wanted to do, but kept holding myself back because I didn't think that I was good enough.
Well, you obviously
to
are.
Do.
You've won that beautiful crown. So it's
Thank you.
The world of good.
Thank you. But it was just it's that challenge to yourself, and to find your own style, and to find your own balance or footing in life that is going to ultimately make you happy.
And I think when you're a lot younger, you've got all that peer pressure of what do people think of me and my friends, and my friends like 6 pounds lighter than me, I need to lose weight or whatever. And then you get to that point of, I have no left to give, to be honest. I couldn't care less. I would walk down the street, and even in my hometown, I will have I find it's the older women that kind of look at me with that, how dare you dress that way at your age? And it's like, darling, I still get ID'd for alcohol. I'm not, I don't care.
Yeah, me too. I'm fine.
But yeah, it's taken me quite a while to just kind of get comfortable and accept that when people say you look really nice, to actually accept it and go, thank you, rather than going, but this bit sticks out and that bit sticks out, my hair's a mess. But I'm still working on it, and I'm still working on the work-life balance. That's not very good at the moment. But I'm getting,
I know that.
I'm getting there.
So let me ask you this one.
One then.
This is one thing that used to bother me for a long, long time. I was a floating head for years, because people would say to me, oh, you have such a beautiful smile. Oh, your smile is just so beautiful. And it was like, thanks. But what about the rest of me? And so I was like this floating head for years. You have beautiful eyes. You have a beautiful smile. Okay, great. I mean, it would be nice compliment, and I would appreciate it. But then when I would get home, I would be, oh, they said that about my smile, but is the rest of me not good enough? And I think that comes from the other things in society, like you said, other girls that you were friends with, or seeing that your friend was maybe a couple sizes smaller, so, or even the bullying that the children go through today. So I think it all plays on that negative mental self-talk that we have with ourselves. So I don't know if you've been a floating head for years, but
yeah, mainly because I think when I wasn't comfortable with who I was, like on video chat, you would only ever see this. It wouldn't be much else. I would always get compliments on my clothing, and I don't know so much a floating head was a term for me, because I know a lot of people would say you may be larger, but you wear it well. You don't look as good as you may be, because you know how to style for your shape. And I remember being, I can't remember where I was, but I was in a shop, and a woman who was probably the same size as me, or not a little bit smaller, said, "I wish I could look like you." And I went, "Sorry?" And she went, "I wish I could look like you." I said, "Dye your hair back and buy some big goth boots, and that would work." And she went, "No, you are so put together. You look amazing." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much. But all it needs is just a bit of tweaks here. How, can I help you?" And I actually helped her find a dress she really liked and style it up. And it was something as simple as, have you ever thought about just putting a little thin belt, just empire line, just something to attract the eye? And that's kind of where my first podcast came out of, these are all the little hints and tricks you can do to hide parts of your body to balance things out, color blocking.
Sure.
We're using accessories and wearing a scarf and doing something bright in one area to detract from maybe a bit you're not happy with somewhere else. And it's all about finding that balance and attracting the eye, and how to wear a handbag. Don't wear a crossbody if you're conscious about the size of your boobs, because people will see the strap and it will make it look worse. So all those kind of tips and tricks. And I've actually got I'm not going to call it a project, but one of the girls I work with is on a weight loss kick at the moment and a health kick. We're kind of helping each other through it. And she said to me, when I've lost weight for my birthday, I'm going to get some money together. Will you style me? And I said, well, why wait for your birthday? I'll wait till you've lost weight. Let's do it now. And it was actually meant to be last night. I've got a big bag of clothes that I'm donating here for her to try on, different styles to what she's used to. And we were going to do a whole look. This is how you can put something together with what you've already got to make it look not like a sack, or to hide your shoulders a little bit, or not to expose the knees too much if you don't want to. This is how we can do it. So yeah, that's something I'm quite looking forward to through this year, is to kind of help her find her style. And it won't all be black. She is into color where I'm not, but it will still be fun. But that, going back to what you were saying, that kind of compliment of somebody saying they wish they could look like me was weird.
That's wonderful.
Like, well, why would you want to look like me? I just put this on. And she's like, it's the way you're put together. So I don't feel that I've ever just been a floating head. But I haven't had many compliments over life. It's been occasionally, "Oh, I love what you're wearing," or whatever. But I find it very hard to give people compliments. And not in that I don't want to. I was literally in, where was I? One of the supermarkets. And I'd gone around the supermarket with my partner. He'd gone off to look at something. And I went, "I'm just going to go to the toilets." And as I came out, a girl that I'd literally been in another aisle with was stood waiting to go in. And I said to her, "By the way, I think your jacket is awesome." And she had this kind of faux leather jacket shirt blouse thing, really nice. And had she not been having an argue with her other half at the time, I would have asked her where she got it. But I literally came out and went, "I think your top is really nice. It looks awesome." And she went, I'm like, "What? I was trying to be nice." Okay, never mind.
Just accept it. Just accept it, say thank you and smile, and then, walk away, But
it's like people don't want compliments over here. It's that whole British just don't mention it and walk away kind of thing, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think here in the United States, that's a little bit different. People like compliments here. So you'll find it very commonplace here. Of course, there's a lot of criticism too. We balance it out. So, but there's people like giving compliments and stuff like that. And you touched on something a little bit before that I did want to mention, that you had said about not wearing something that makes you feel good and makes you feel great. I actually was talking to a friend of mine from France. He was somebody that I worked with, and he had said to me, he asked me, he goes, "Oh, what are you going to wear to this event?" Because we had to go to this event together. And he goes, "Well, why don't you wear that one dress that you got whenever we were out shopping?" Because he had gone out shopping with me. And I said, "Oh no, I'm saving that for another time." He goes, "Stop." He goes, if it's something that makes you feel good and you want to wear it because it's going to make you feel good, stop saving it for another day.
Yeah. Totally.
And that's so true. And so I've actually kind of made that my mantra since gosh, it's been over 20 years since I worked with him. And you really, you being able to style someone else, what a fabulous compliment that is to you
I'd
and
love to
your
work in the
style and
fashion
how you're
industry
put
if I could.
together. And sometimes it takes just a little bit of a push from people to receive a compliment. And in a way, that guy that I worked with, Fabian, he was giving me a compliment in a way that when you put it on, you radiated in that outfit. You like that outfit. I know you love that outfit. Then wear it.
Yeah.
And so we get compliments in all different forms and all different ways. You just have to be able to acknowledge them and receive them and say thank you and be done.
I'm getting better at that bit.
Yeah.
But I was there's a girl I watch on YouTube, and she's very much in the Mary Quant way of working. If it doesn't bring you joy, don't use it and don't have it around. So I've literally gone through my closet, and I've probably had, I think I had probably 3 clear outs in lockdown. I also went on a challenge of not buying any new clothes for a year, and using what I had, and that kind of made me kind of know which items I picked up a lot, which were my favorites, which I was comfortable in. And then I did another big clear out and went, well, I've not picked it up for a year. Is it because it's for my friend's wedding that's got postponed? Is it because it's not been the right weather? Is it because I'm just not comfortable in wearing it anymore? If I'm not comfortable, out it went. And it was the same with like my designer bag collection, you know, slightly off topic, but I have all these bags that just sit in a cupboard because I'm like, well, I don't want to use them, but I do want to use them. But I'm like, I don't want to use them. And I'm saying, well, they make me so happy. I'm going to use them. So I went through anything that isn't, not saying all my bags are designer. I've kept practical things, but like I've got a beautiful laptop bag, but I won't use it because I've got a rucksack that I'll use instead. It's like, no, stop it. Use your bags, get the joy out of life. You've paid for them, you've worked hard for them. Just do it. So yeah, that's my way of thinking at the moment. So
that's perfect thinking.
We've gone totally off topic of our conversation. Hey, never mind.
We go all over the place. It's all good. It's good convo.
What is your, because I've been out to the States once. I went to New York. I went into Forever 21 and there was nothing. I went to, I think I went to Bloomingdale's and I went to Sephora, obviously. But we didn't really do a lot of kind of like mainstream or clothes shopping. When I'm over in the UK and I go shopping, I have one pet peeve about clothing that they make for plus sizes. What's yours in the States? What's the one thing that grates you when you have to go shopping?
If it's a plus size clothing store, I don't have a problem. If it's a regular clothing store, I have a problem.
If it's a plus size store, then literally nothing that would annoy you. You'd be able to go in there quite happy.
I would be able to go in a plus size store pretty happily. It's really the department stores that will bother me in the aspect of a lot of times the plus size section is in the basement, in the back corner by the service desk, and everybody else is on the main level. You know, so it's like we're hidden in the corner in some department stores or department stores that just don't even have anything to cater to plus size women. And so you're looking in maybe older. When I was younger, I used to have to shop in the older ladies section because there was never anything to fit me. Or I would have to stop in the maternity section to get tops that were like Empire waist. Because I wanted some, because at one point Empire waist was really popular when I was growing up, and I wanted a top like that too, but I had to shop in the maternity section to get one because I was a little too endowed. to fit into the extra large that all the other girls used to be able to buy. So
for me,
yeah.
if plus size stores over here, it's either got pointless patterns, literally.
Oh, pattern.
If your alternative, obviously you've got either skull and a butterfly or a fictitious rock gig that never happened, or it's got glitter all over it, which nobody needs.
Glitter.
Sequins that nobody needs ever. Pointless pockets. Who needs a pocket up here? I don't know.
Yeah.
My biggest problem, plus size shopping in the UK, armholes.
Armholes.
Sleeves and armholes. If they make the sleeves big enough to get my arms in, the armhole is so tight. So they do there's a big trend at the moment with balloon sleeves. Amazing.
Balloon sleeves.
Sleeves are fabulous, especially if you're like me and you've got big arms. They're great. But the actual armhole to get your arm into in the first place, no.
Yeah.
Or they cut it really up high into the armpit so you can't move. But in general, they tend to make wider, but they don't make longer. A very well-known alternative brand that is now in the States as well, called Killstar. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they do a lot of goth-esque, cyberpunk, weird stuff. But it's all, well, we'll add a bit of width to the dress, but we're not going to cater for the fact that you might have larger hips, so we're going to keep it the same length. So nothing with your bum, even though it's meant to be a knee-length dress. And then they don't make the armholes big enough to put your arms in. You have to have things about this big, and it's like, no, it's not just this bit that gets bigger. It's everything.
It's all of it. Yeah, it's all of it.
That same problem. I mean, plus size stores over here, I have to probably, if I want to get something in a fabric that doesn't stretch, and I want a blouse, so say I just wanted a plain white blouse for work and a jacket, I would be hard put to find a jacket that fits me unless I found one of the specifically made for larger arms jackets, which now have a I might have one here actually hanging up. It has a panel in the arm. Yeah, I do here. So they've actually, where they've used suede fabric, they've then done an extension panel, which is great. But if you want normal non-stretch fabric, it's not going to fit, or the linings are too tight. And then if you want a blouse, it either gapes open at the boobs, or the armholes, they're still the same as they would be on a size 10. How do they kind of measure plus size fashion over there? Because I watch a lot of people on YouTube. I watch probably haven't heard about Cora Diane, Vintage or Tacky on YouTube. She used to do an awful lot of torrid clothing. City Chic was one of the brands that she
City Chic,
and you'd look,
it's online.
Think, those are fabulous brands. Look at the size of the armholes. They actually do proper lengths, and they think about the size of the clothing. But you come over here and it's just, no, we'll just make it wider and hope it fits, love. What's it like thinking?
Yeah, but here's the thing. City Chic runs very small. You have to order larger sizes. Yes, City Chic, because what I would buy in an Avenue, which was my favorite clothing store, what I would buy in Avenue as an 1820, I would have to go up to a 24 in order to get City Chic with certain things. And I actually just ordered something from them not too long, like 2 months ago. This really awesome blouse. It had, and as far as to get away from the sleeve issue, I do the ones where it's that just that extra material that kind of floats around. It's it could be a sleeveless option, but it's just got a nice piece of fabric that's flowy. So and it was larger. It was two sizes larger. Torrid, they used to be just 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, right?
Yeah.
Now they're going back to the actual sizes, 18, 20, 14, 16, in addition to their zeros through double zero through the numbers that they have. I think they go up to like 6 or 7. And so clothing here is the same issues, but I think challenging depending on which store you go to as to what size you're going to fit into, because not all of them follow the same size methodology in cutting other clothes.
Well,
So what I get at a Lane Bryant or I get at an Avenue, those are two different sizes. I have to get a larger size at Lane Bryant and a larger size at City Chic, where I would get a smaller size at Avenue. Torrid's hit or miss on that, but length, I don't have any issue with length because I'm short. So I'm only 5'5". So this hasn't been an issue. Sometimes I do have to go up a size to get the length if I'm looking for, if it's something that runs like maybe a little shorter, just because because you're endowed, in addition to that raises everything up. Sometimes it's not just the belly, but it's, this up here. So, I know. So, I think the most challenge in the United States is deciphering, hey, is this place going to have the style that I want? And I have actually gone to some goth places here because I do like some goth clothing. I may not look like it today. I may look like Rainbow Bright, but it's okay. Because I do like some of that. And a lot of times that I've gone for goth, the stores actually don't cater to plus size people. So what I end up having to do is some kind of a cape style. I just love the cape style, so I'm like, okay, great. I got another cape that I just bought because I couldn't find a top that I wanted. So, so really, I mean, it's just in finding the size in something that you want that, hey, I'm going to enjoy wearing that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, we have, certainly in the goth community over here, we have kind of three main brands. So you have Killstar, who do cater up to 4X, which is a UK 2022, but they don't think about what the clothing actually has to be plus size. They just go, we'll add some fabric, we'll just cut it bigger. But they don't think about lengths or arm lengths. I actually did a haul a few weeks ago where they had a massive clearance section, and I got loads of items really, really cheap, stuff that would normally be 40 or 50 pounds. I got for like maybe £8, which was great. But one of the tops was a really pretty, just see-through mesh top with a really nice faux leather collar. And when I went to put it on, they cut the fabric so as it stretched that way, but had absolutely no stretch that way. So when I went to put it on, I couldn't even get into it because it wouldn't stretch in the right direction. And it was like, why are you doing? No, sorry, it would stretch in length, but it wouldn't stretch in width. So I couldn't even get into it in the first place. And it's like, do you not think about this sort of thing? You do know, being bigger, we need excess room to move in our clothing as well. So you have those.
Right.
Punk Rave, who are Asian clothing and Asian designed clothing and Asian sized clothing. So my friends went to an event with me where they were there. And when you go to this event, it's meant to be a wholesale event, and they have like influencers and stuff. But what they do is, because of the shipping rates, send their stuff back across, they just sell it off. And she went, oh, I'll go and see what they've got. Now, my friend at the time was a UK 10, and she couldn't get one of their large skirts to fit her because it was only for size 6. I mean, if you're putting XL at a size 8, that's ridiculous. And then the other one you've got is Necessary Evil, who are brilliant at doing men's plus size, but not women's. They're women's plus size. If you would say, if you were maybe a size 20 and wanted to buy from them, it would probably fit a 16, because it just doesn't have that perception of that's what the size is. And I think I actually did it in one of my early podcasts around how clothes sizing came about, and that how they got 100 women and they measured them and went, these are what the average sizes are. But that was done like in the 1890s, and it's not been done since. And women back
it needs to be redone.
Were generally built very different to the way we are now. We have a lot more curves now than we had then. They had corsetry, they had smaller breasts than we had. They had to wear corsets to push them up, whereas most of us now are trying to hide them. There's a lot of change in the way
Right.
it's developed, and clothing doesn't seem to have developed with it, and it's so frustrating. But
It is very frustrating, and they really need to redo it. And in addition, you're talking about like different pricing, that you were able to get something for £8 as opposed to 40.
Because it was in a clearance sale.
Right. And that's the other thing I've noticed too. In a lot of these clothing stores, the clothes can be very expensive. And as a pageant girl, you have to have evening gowns.
Yeah.
And
ask you about
when I go to buy evening gowns, I don't get them here in the United States. I order them from overseas because, one, I can get a better price on them. And I've already got it down to science that I know I need to order 4 sizes larger than what I normally wear. And even on a slow boat, it'll get here in 2 months, so.
That's a lot of pre-planning.
I know, but it works. And if it's something that I need to modify whenever I get it, because typically what happens is I'll order my winning gown that I actually had for when I competed was from overseas. I paid $375 for it.
Is that the silver one you're in on your blog? Because it's beautiful.
It was It's the silver one. It's the silver one with a big train on the back.
Yeah, that's stunning, that dress.
It's the silver one. I paid $375 American for that. I would not have been able to buy it for that cost in the United States. Now, typically I do purchase American. I like to support and do everything here, but when you have to, as a pageant queen, you have to develop a budget for yourself.
Yeah.
And so I was looking, I couldn't find anything in my budget, and I looked online and I saw one I liked, but I'm like, I could totally change this gown a little bit, because I'm thinking of my personal style. It had these big flowers on it. I'm like, I can take those flowers off. I could, do this. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I had done. Because in the United States, I would have paid close to $1,000, if not more, for that evening gown with the train.
That's crazy.
And so, and because I was on a budget, and that's what I did. And so you do what you have to do at the moment. But like I said, typically I will buy American with other things. But I just couldn't.
The fat tax in the UK is ridiculous. So if you go into, I don't know how much you know of brands in the UK, but there's a very well-known high street store called Primark. You can go into Primark as a UK 8, 10, 12, 14, even up to an 18, and buy a plain white t-shirt for £3.
Okay.
If then an 18 and you want a slightly loose fit t-shirt, and you have to go to this one plus size brand, you have to pay £15 and upwards for a plain white t-shirt.
That does not make sense.
I know, but they go, oh, but you're using more fabric. Why? Is it like Chinese silk or something? No, it's cotton jersey. Come on. I got this.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Expensive fabric than that, love. Why? Yeah, £15 for a plain white t-shirt. Yeah. And then if they put a sale on, you're meant to feel grateful because you can buy 2 t-shirts for £18. And it's great. Everything seems to be
more expensive.
And they go, oh well, you take up more fabric, but the manufacturing costs are still the same. It's not.
That's right.
And if that's the case, and somebody actually said it the other day, if there is a tax, if you are a size, so we'll take it from the plus size range in the UK, so a 14 and up, and you go into a certain store and you want a t-shirt and it costs you £15, and they use the excuse it's because you're larger and it's more expensive. Why is a size 18 top and a size 4 top in the same shop in normal sizes the same price? If that's the cost,
yeah, exactly.
Every time the size goes up, it should be going up in monetary value, if that's the excuse.
When I look at mainstream and shop at mainstream, it's certainly clothing is priced a little bit higher. I will tell you an instance that I've had 2 incidents where I have not paid higher whenever I've gone to a designer store. So for example, I had actually, I wanted a suit. I love Giorgio Armani. He's my favorite designer. And I was working my first job. I was working downtown Chicago, and I'm like, you know what? It's my first job. I'm going to get myself a designer suit. I'm going to get myself a black suit that is going to last forever because I know he's got classic designs and I want it from Giorgio Armani.
Yeah.
So I did. I went to Armani and I walked into the store, and basically after I was told there's nothing here to fit you, I said, but I want you to make it fit me. And so I ended up getting a black suit, and it's like a shrine in my closet. But I had it custom made, and it was the same price as the clothing that was on the rack for somebody that was a size 4. And then
Like Giorgio Armani can do it, then any brand can.
Yeah, I know. And Christian Siriano did the same thing. I had gone to New York a few years back, and I wanted something from Christian Siriano. I was able to get a dress in-house, but I'm like, you know what? I really like that jacket but you don't have it in my size. And they were absolutely, don't worry about it. We'll make it for you and we'll ship it to you.
Oh, wow.
And so it was wonderful. So those are like my 2 prized possessions, my prized possessions, and they're both black. So they're never going to go out of style. So it's perfect. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to be treated differently.
No.
You want to just be treated just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's important. That's important to me.
Very much so. And it's like I was saying earlier, you've got your LGBTQ plus community,
Yeah.
the people of color community, you've got your all Black Lives Matter movement going on, but there always seems to be this stumbling block of fat people are like the leprechaun lilies. You don't go near them. They might start falling off if you touch one. It doesn't,
Yeah.
just in case you're wondering, you can touch us, we don't fall apart. But there just seems to still be this stigma about being overweight and being plus size. And even when you go into stores, I mean, like I said, the brand we have here that the shop's closed down, I remember walking in there when they first opened, and the woman that was working in there was older than me, she was bigger than me, and yet she was looking me up and down like I shouldn't be in there. And it was like,
what are you thinking, lady?
Love,
yeah, right.
A few years and one dress size maybe, but we're not much different. I don't understand this stigma around being larger. If we were all the same, life would be so boring. We literally would be the mannequins in shops. So I don't get this stigma around it. Yes, I understand people can have exacerbated health issues because of their weight.
Sure.
But not every larger person is unhealthy. You've said it, I've said it. I can't remember the last time I even went to the doctor. So we're not drains on society. We're not sitting here stuffing our faces. We've managed to talk nearly an hour and we haven't had a single thing to eat. I mean, how have we coped?
Yeah, and what's interesting is I work in healthcare. That's my day job. In addition to everything else that I do, I'm a speaker domestic and internationally, and I'm an author. I'm a I got published articles as well. So in my healthcare environment, I've seen people rolled into the emergency department via an ambulance that have 0% body fat, and they drop of a heart attack. Any of us, regardless of our size. There's so many factors that play into health issues. It's genetics. It could be health as far as weight, but it could not be.
Yeah.
No one is really immune to an issue or a concern if it's something that runs hereditarily in your family. If your parents had heart disease, you too are probably going to have heart disease. It's more than likely going to happen. If you have a family that has diabetes, you're probably going to end up with diabetes too. So it's just finding the balance to get more acceptance in you yourself, as well as accepting everybody else that's around us. And in with speaking, my speaking engagements around the world, it's the same issue everywhere. And I was really enlightened at the same time as being very grateful to have similarities with other women that are trying to get body acceptance and body positivity in their locations, because as I mentioned earlier, it's the same issue, just different geography. We all have the same concerns.
Certainly sounds that way. I mean, I'm hoping one day to be able to travel to Japan. I would be want to do old Japan and new Japan. I'd love to go and see Lolita dresses and things, but I know they'll never fit me, because Lolita dresses are exceptionally tiny. Even if you try and order one over here, you have to have it made, because there's no way it would ever fit. So yeah,
but think of the benefit of that, though. Think of the benefit that you get to order a dress. You can have it in the pattern you want. You can have it in the color you want. Sometimes it's not that bad.
True.
Just having somebody that has an opportunity and is willing to do that or create that item, that's the challenge.
Certainly worth looking into. Well, it's been absolutely wonderful to speak to you. My last comment for you is, if you could say one thing that would inspire people to start loving their plus size bodies and being a bit more confident in themselves, what would it be?
That it's okay to be different. You don't have to be like everybody else. And once you start embracing that and accepting that, your life is going to become even more incredible than it currently is. You will find happiness. It gets better, but you have to start there.
And every small step is a goal, regardless of how small it is. That's the way I look at it. So again, thank you ever so much for coming on, Wendy. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us all the way from Chicago. It's amazing. I didn't even know my podcast made it that far. But it's been wonderful to talk to you. I hope maybe one day we can have you back. Maybe we can have you live.
Absolutely.
If you're over in the UK, we'll have you live on YouTube. That'd be amazing.
I would love that. That would be awesome. It's a plan. It's
Fabulous.
a plan.
Fabulous. So on that note, then we're going to sign off. I'm going to say thank you to listening. So thank you for listening. Even I can't get my words out again. You know what it's like, people. It's my mouth. It does what it wants. Thank you all for listening. Thank you again for Wendy to coming on. Big shout out to Ricky for setting this up. And as always, I'm going to sign off and leave you with this. Whatever you do in life, just make sure you just do you.